So we've talked a little bit about the different kinds of publishers. So another important aspect to cover is how you actually find a publisher. And not all publishers are reputable. So not only how you find a publisher, but how you find one that's really going to help you out and work on your behalf. So NSAI, an organisation I mentioned before, a great organisation, they have a pitch to publisher a couple of times a year. So if you're a member, you can have your tunes played to a publisher. Another great thing to do is to go to music industry conferences armed with CDs or business cards and see if you can meet a publisher. There are some online services where you can pitch your songs to publishers, such as Music Gateway, which is a great service. There are several publishers on there actively seeking writers to represent. Another thing you could do is find a songwriter whose work you admire and ask them about their publisher. But I have to say that emailing publishers cold, just finding them online and sending an email through, quite often doesn't produce results. It's all about building relationships. So, it's good to actually meet songwriters in person where you can and go to conferences. In the UK, there's an organisation called the Music Publishers Association. So the MPA Online has a database of publishers in the UK, and you can search via genre and it tells you which publishers are currently accepting submissions. So that's a very, very useful service. So say through doing all of this, you happen to find a publisher. Well, how do you know if that publisher's any good? Because you want to sign with someone reputable. There's a couple of kinds of organisations to avoid like the plague. One is a company that calls itself a music publisher, but instead of pitching your work to artists or pitching your work for sync, all they do is collect the royalties for the performances you're doing and pay them to you, but take a cut. Because that's absolutely pointless. You can claim your own royalties from your PRO. You don't need another service to do that. So I wouldn't recommend signing up to that kind of service. Another thing that you would need to do if you're in talks with a publisher is to email some acts who are already on their roster and ask, are they happy with their services? Because that's just your due diligence of making sure they're a good company. You also want to sign up with a service who are actually having some success. So you want to see what placements they've had, what syncs they've had, basically how well they're doing before you sign up, because you'll often be asked to sign up the rights to your songs for a whole 5 years. It's not something you can get out of quickly. So if they aren't doing a good job for you and they aren't making you money, they're going to own, part of the copyright to your songs. So, you'll be tied in with them. You won't be able to go and sort of you can pitch your songs yourself while you're signed to a publisher, but they take a percent of any money that you make. So you really need to be sure that they're out there working on your behalf.